Hey there! Before we jump right in, I just wanted to give you a super quick heads up on how these explainers work. That way, you know exactly what you're getting. So what you're about to see is the compact summary. It's, all the essential stuff, no fluff, straight to the point. But if you're the kind of person who loves all the details and extra examples, we've got you covered. There's always a full deep dive version too. Our whole philosophy here is to be direct and, honestly, to respect your time. And that's really our promise to you. We cut out all the filler so we can get straight to what actually matters, to the core of the topic. So if at any point you think, I want to know more about that, just check out the description below. The link to that full deep dive is always waiting for you there. We also think it's kind of cool to be open about how this all comes together. So let's take a quick look behind the scenes, shall we? It's actually a pretty straightforward two-step deal. First, we go really deep on the research, using some pretty powerful tools to make sure we're getting a comprehensive picture. Then, we use other awesome tools to organize all that info and build the focused explainer that you're seeing right now. But, the tools are just that, tools. They're only one part of the equation. The real heart of this, our whole commitment to quality, actually goes back to how this entire project got started in the first place. See, for us, quality isn't just a buzzword or about listing a bunch of facts. It all starts with a genuine, personal question. That feeling of real, honest-to-goodness curiosity. And this really says it all. This whole thing originally started as just a private research project, literally to answer a question I had for myself. And that's the DNA of every single one of these explainers. That's the bar we set for ourselves. So, today we're diving into one of the most fascinating states of human consciousness out there, lucid dreaming. It's that wild, exhilarating moment of waking up, but not in your bed. You wake up inside the world of your own dream. And you know what the best part is? Science is now showing that this isn't just some random thing that happens. It's actually a learnable skill. So let's explore the science behind it. I mean, really think about it. Have you ever had that moment? You're in the middle of some totally bizarre dream, and this little voice in your head just goes, wait a second, this has to be a dream, right? Now, for most of us, that feeling vanishes in a flash. But what if you could actually hold on to that awareness? And that is exactly what a lucid dream is. Now, here's what's so important to get right from the start. Pop culture makes you think it's all about having superpowers, flying around, changing the world with a thought. And look, that stuff can happen, but that's not the main thing. The real scientific definition comes down to just one thing: awareness. Simply knowing that you're dreaming while it's happening. The control part, that's just a bonus. A really, really cool bonus, but still a bonus. Okay, so this all sounds amazing, right? But it begs the question, is this just a bunch of cool stories people tell, or is it a real, measurable, scientific thing? I mean, how on earth can anyone prove what's going on inside your head when you're completely asleep? Well, that question is exactly what brings us to our first section. For decades, scientists have been coming up with some seriously clever ways to get a signal from that inner world, proving once and for all that lucid dreaming is absolutely real. And this is how they do it. It's brilliant. See, when you're in REM sleep, your body is essentially paralyzed. It's a safety feature so you don't, start physically running from the monster in your dream. But your eye muscles still work. So before the experiment, the scientist and the dreamer agree on a secret code, like a specific pattern of eye movements, left, right, left, right. Then the person goes to sleep. The EEG machine confirms they're in REM, and then they just wait. And if the dreamer becomes lucid, they remember the plan and perform that exact eye signal from inside the dream. It's literally a message sent from a sleeping consciousness to the waking world. And if you thought that was cool, hold on, because it gets even more incredible. Recent studies have established actual two-way communication. Researchers can ask simple questions, and the sleeping lucid dreamer can respond using those eye movements or tiny facial twitches. They've had people correctly answer simple math problems while they were asleep and dreaming. This is not just a one-way signal anymore, it's a real-time dialogue with a dreamer. All right, so we've established it's real. You can literally talk to someone who is dreaming. So the next obvious question is, what in the world is happening in the brain to make that possible? Let's take a look. So neuroscientists have a great term for this. They call it a hybrid state. And it's a perfect description. Think of it like this. Your brain's dream-making factory is running at full tilt, churning out all the weird and wonderful dream stuff. But at the same time, a few lights in the waking consciousness control room suddenly flicker back on. You get this amazing mashup of dream immersion and waking self-awareness. So which lights flicker on? Well, brain scans show it's the parts of the brain that make you, you. We see a flare-up of activity in the prefrontal cortex, which is all about logic and self-reflection, the parietal lobes, which are involved in metacognition, thinking about your thinking, get more active. It's like the CEO of your brain wakes up for a minute and says, "Whoa, where am I?" Right in the middle of the dream movie. Okay, this is all incredibly cool, but I know what you're thinking. Can I learn to do this? And the answer from a ton of research is a resounding yes. So this next section is all about the most effective, science-backed ways you can train yourself to become lucid. Right. Before we talk about any fancy techniques, we have to start here. This is the absolute foundation, the bedrock. If you don't remember your dreams, you have nothing to work with. It's that simple. Study after study finds that people who are good at remembering their dreams have the easiest time learning to lucid dream. So, step 1, before anything else, is to start keeping a dream journal. This flowchart from one of the scientific sources we used sums it up perfectly. Now, don't worry about the German text. The logic here is what's golden. See how the very first questions are all about the basics? Do you remember your dreams? Is your sleep stable? If the answer is no, it doesn't send you to some advanced technique. Nope. It tells you to focus on the foundation first, dream journaling and good sleep habits. You got to build the house before you can decorate it. So once you have that solid foundation, the research points to a really powerful 1-2 punch, a specific combination of techniques that gives people the best, most consistent results. So here's the combo. First, you have WBTB, or wake back to bed. This is the physical part. You set an alarm for about 5 hours into your sleep, wake up for a little bit, and then go back to bed. Why? Because this positions you perfectly to fall right back into the longest, richest REM sleep periods of the night. It's like setting the stage. Then, as you're falling back to sleep, you add mild, the mnemonic induction technique. This is the mental part. You just repeat a simple intention over and over. Next time I'm dreaming, I will realize I'm dreaming. So WBTB creates the opportunity, and mild plants the trigger to seize it. All right, so let's say it works. You do it. You're suddenly standing in your dream, fully aware. Now what? Well, this next part is all about the potential applications, from practicing skills to the much more controversial topic of pills. So one of the most exciting areas is skill rehearsal. We're not talking about learning quantum physics in your sleep. The evidence for that is pretty weak. But for improving motor skills, the data is actually pretty strong. You can think of it as the most immersive virtual reality simulator imaginable, powered entirely by your own brain. For instance, researchers have had people practice a simple finger tapping sequence, like playing a little melody on a keyboard, while they were lucid dreaming. And what they found was that practicing it in the dream actually improved their speed and accuracy on the real task after they woke up. It turns out the parts of your brain that fire when you imagine moving are the same ones that fire when you actually move. So it's a super powerful rehearsal space. Okay, now for that controversial topic. Can anything, help you get there? There are a lot of supplements out there making big promises, but almost none of them have real science to back them up. But there is one substance that stands out, with solid, peer-reviewed studies behind it: galantamine. And when you look at the data from a proper double-blind, placebo-controlled study, the results are, they're pretty wild. Using the WBTB and MILE techniques, the placebo group had about a 14% success rate. Not bad, but give them a small 4 milligram dose of galantamine, that rate almost doubles to 27%. And at 8 milligrams, it skyrockets to 42%. That is a huge effect. But, and this is a massive but, before you get any ideas, we have to be crystal clear about this. This is probably the single most important slide in this whole breakdown. Galantamine is not some herbal supplement you can buy at the health food store. It is a prescription drug mainly used for Alzheimer's disease, and it comes with serious medical risks, like slowing your heart rate down to dangerous levels. You absolutely need to talk to a doctor about this. This is not something to mess around with on your own. It is not safe, period. And that very serious warning brings us perfectly to our final and maybe most important section. Exploring your own consciousness is an amazing journey, but you have to be smart about it and you have to be safe. So there are really 3 main risks to keep in mind. First, and this is the trap most people fall into, is just messing up your sleep. If you're using that wake back to bed technique every single night, you're just going to end up tired and you'll hurt your sleep quality.
Second, for some people, these techniques can increase the chances of experiencing sleep paralysis, which can be pretty scary if you're not ready for it. And finally, and this is really important, if someone has a history of serious psychological conditions like psychosis, deliberately blurring the line between dream and reality on your own is just not a good idea.
So, it all boils down to this. If you take away one single thing about practicing this safely, let it be this: protect your sleep. Your number one priority has to be a stable, healthy, consistent sleep routine. That is the non-negotiable foundation for any of this. The goal is to explore your mind, not to sacrifice your health.
Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Lucid dreaming basically gives you a conscious access pass to the incredible simulation your mind builds for you every single night. It's a direct portal to your own creativity, your hopes, your fears, the whole works. So, if you could get that pass, if you could step inside your own mind, fully aware, what would you explore first?